Welcome back, legends, to another Uncommon Man podcast. Really excited to have you here. We're here with Nick and Harry and myself, Josh. It's been a couple of weeks of hiatus for myself, and I'm really happy to be back. Today, we're going to go over how your life should be run like you are a CEO of a business, and why it's important, and where the gap is, and actually what to do about it. You don't have to be a business owner for this to apply to you. In fact, you just have to be alive and wanting to advance in your career, wanting to advance in your relationship, wanting to advance in your health, rather than being the common man who just continually stays stagnant in his life and wonders why shit never changes. So as we dive into this, I'm really excited to chat to Nick and Harry and talk about the personal experiences and the things that they've done with their clients to absolutely transform men's lives. So Nick, I'm going to start with you, mate, because you're right there. Look, we know that guys who are at the upper level, the uncommon goes, the high achievers that we talk to in our daily lives, who are our clients, who are the uncommon men who are going after what is not normal. That is not the stagnation of everyday man's life. It's not the grumpy, angry relationships. It's not the empty bank accounts. It's the guys who are at the top who are really pushing the limits. They have a mountain of responsibility. Right? They have a lot that they carry on their shoulders. They have very high standards, and they demand a lot of themselves, and they demand a lot of their team in business, and they demand a lot of their family. How do you see the gap, or what do you see as the gap between how they run their business and how they run their kind of personal life? And I'd also like to understand how you're helping guys kind of bridge the gap between the two as well.
So funny, I had a conversation with a guy who would fit the bill there yesterday. He was also breathing and alive. And what is really interesting is he's struggling with this idea of accountability within his organization. He's accountable to himself. He's really good at that. He's good at taking stock and checking in and self-reflecting. But he ends up taking accountability for his entire team in terms of micromanaging, in terms of if someone isn't being efficient and effective, he steps in to fix their problem. He steps in because he's more effective, he's more efficient, and he gets so frustrated. So he ends up taking accountability for everyone and everything, and then it results in burnout, essentially. And it's just that overzealous thing of, I'm lacking boundaries, I'm lacking trust, I haven't created systems, frameworks, or the scaffolding that allows my team to, show up at their absolute best, to live out their peak performance. And that's been reflective in his household as well. He doesn't trust his partner. He holds her accountable in his own interesting ways, but he's micromanaging his wife, he's micromanaging his kids, and in turn he's micromanaging everyone else. And guess what happens? Like you said, it's about the personal side of things. He doesn't have that. He doesn't micromanage himself, so his health doesn't take priority. Everyone else gets the focus, the attention, and the intention, and those tabs are running 24/7. So he's incredibly accountable, but he lacks the boundaries to facilitate that in a healthy way.
Two questions for you. What's his underlying belief of why he can't let these other people do this, and what's his attachment? Like, what are those two things for him? Because like we hit those over, the guys listening are going to be like, fuck me, that sits in my life, and they'll be able to kind of bring something forward into their consciousness.
It's interesting. This one was self-worth. So he wants to be seen as this person that is effective and efficient and in power and in control. And, he's the lead in all these situations. Like, everyone needs to go to him to, validate him.
I'm the most important person in the room.
Yes, he needs that to feel like he is someone and something significant. And that has been his Achilles heel for the last several years. And I think now it's just become more and more apparent because his health is now taking a massive knock because he's unable to pour that into himself. And he's seeing the seeds of doubt, take fruition in his relationship as well. Because you can't be doing this. You
Hands
can't
up
be.
if you guys ever like tried to get your worth from being the most important person in the room, because fucking that's me to a T. I've been there like all day.
I'm
like,
the leanest every day.
Right, exactly. I find my worth in being the most valuable person in this room, and I can be the most valuable person if none of you guys know how to do your job, because I'm not prepared to actually teach you or trust you. So therefore, everybody has to come to me because I am the most important, and therefore I am worth. Damn. Fuck, that poor guy. Shit, I hate the cost.
How do you fix him? That's the question. How do you fix him?
The
First step was, I found a rock in the middle of a lake, and I said, you need to swim to that rock and sit there and perch yourself on there and meditate for days on end, and then you shall find yourself.
You shall find who you are.
You shall find yourself. There you are. There you are. I call it the "there you are" method.
We can sell that. We got a TM that though. It's the "there you are" method. We'll find the lakes and provide the rock. You've just got to do the finding.
Exactly. It's an uncommon rock. There's nothing like it. No, so it's really been just this practice of peeling away the layers. And we had quite a powerful in-person session yesterday, and it was just this conversation around, look, you've got all these different responsibilities and things, but not at one point did you point back towards yourself and realize that all this life that you're living stems from you. And your first set of accounts should be upon yourself. You need to be focusing on what you're pouring into you so you can give the best of you to other things. Yes, we can work on the mechanic of self-worth, but if you start to see yourself as worthy because you're prioritizing yourself, you're naturally going to begin the process of unraveling that. So just a very clear step is just, well, before putting my business first or my team first or my KPIs first or my family first, put yourself first. That's the practice.
I love that from guys where you suddenly they get slapped in the face with like, oh, that's why I do that. And then they're like so excited. They're like, cool. So what do I do? Like, what do I do about it? Like, how do we fix this? I'm like, well, okay, mate, like just lean back for a moment. You've just found out about this. This is pretty exciting stuff. What if you just demonstrated to yourself every single day that you were worth it? What's one thing that you could do? It's like, I can start with a glass of water in the morning, mate, rather than a Red Bull. Action speaks way louder than words. Everybody wants this like instant fix. It's like, cool. I'm like, nah, man. Like actions, small, big, whatever, just actions towards saying every single action you take says, should I love myself a little bit more? And yeah, there's frameworks and we've got tools and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's not sexy, but it's simple as hell. So easy. I find it so interesting that as humans, we can be so successful in one area of our lives and it doesn't like leak out into other areas. You know how we say that saying is like, how you do one thing is how you do all things. I think that's proof straight away that that's just not true. Like people are super successful in business. They're busy shagging 3 other women while their family at home like suffocates and dies from a lack of emotional and support in that area because they think, oh, I've nailed it from a financial point of view. I'm like, dude, what's going on here? Like you've got a P&L for your business. What are you doing in your life? What's your audit look there? Where is this heading? I find that gap, even though it's, you coach hundreds of guys, I still find it interesting. I still find the human puzzle really simple, yet complex, yet really interesting. It's fun. It is fun. Harry.
I think it's like, I want to touch on what you sent me earlier in that message, which I think we spoke about this last year with a lot of those CEO guys or a lot of people that measure their success by the finances or by the work or the business that's their passion, their career, all that stuff is almost a mechanism of avoidance. Yeah. Like when you know that the relationship at home with the kids is getting more distant as they grow up, the spark in your marriage is kind of gone, but they don't know how to handle it. So they turn to what they know, which is work, and then come up with those excuses of, oh, I'm busy, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, and avoid doing that because that's what they know how to do, as opposed to dealing with the shit, which is like, actually hard, right? So for a lot of people, the making the money and that kind of shit is the hard part, but they find it easy, so they go to that as opposed to having the hard, honest conversations, which for some people is like scary.
Mate, you've hit the nail on the head, and it's funny because people love to have a brush and then just go, okay, that works, and then I'll just paint that all in life. It's in business. It's like, don't work on your weaknesses, just hire somebody into that place, which is a great thing in business. But I was like, if you suck at sex, are you going to outsource that in your relationship? Or is that a weakness that you prefer to work on?
Just be the camera guy, bro.
You just be the camera guy. It's like awesome. My relationship kicks ass. Look at my VCR collection and my DVDs. Like, it was really interesting. I've traveled over to your big island recently for some to deliver some workshops and things, and I got to go to a triathlon camp, and we're talking the best age group triathletes. Well, some in the world, definitely in Australia. One of them is a record holder, and we were talking about exactly what you're talking about there. They're like, you tell somebody you're going for a 200K ride, they're like, fuck that. These guys are like, that's my strength. I'll go there any day of the week rather than having to have that hard conversation or present that thing at work or do that. I'm like, you're just using your strengths as a shield to hide behind. That is not an example of doing something hard. When something is now easy, e.g., you're hopping in an ice bath and now it's become easy and pleasurable, you're no longer ticking off that aspect of your brain where it's like, I am doing something hard and training yourself to do something hard, because it's no longer hard for you. People forget that. Your strengths are not hard. They're easy. So you're not growing.
And from the outset, for a lot of people as well, that perspective is also seen as discipline, right? You're disciplined because you spend so much time on your bike doing stupid amounts of training. You're so disciplined because you do all this kind of stuff. Yeah. But for people like that, it's like, that doesn't take effort. Like, that's where I'd rather be, right?
I'd rather be on my bike and lycra. I can say that comfortably. I'm comfortable in my sexuality. Most of the time, I'd rather be in tight clothes and out of my bike.
Like, you're safe here.
You're safe here. This is a safe space. So
I'm uncomfortable with this conversation right now. I'm just gonna share how I feel.
Good. That's welcome as well.
I've never worn lycra.
We'll fix that, mate. Feels like. We'll fix that. We'll get you some vegan cacao and some tight clothes, and you'll be hanging out with me all the time. I want to go back to what Nick was just chatting on before, because I want to share something that recently kind of slapped me in the face pretty hard. And this is this idea of, like, everything we create, we're creating from this place of like some lack of self-worth for this guy. You know, he's micromanaging, trying to make his business better, so he is then feeling worthy. It hit me recently. Michael Cooper asked me, cool, when you look at these other guys that you see as successful, the shiny object, what is it that's coming to mind for you? What do you want? And I'm like, freedom. I want freedom. And he's like, cool. So what's the opposite of freedom for you? I'm like, ooh. And it was a weird word, just came straight in, stagnation. And he's like, cool. So where have things been for you for the last little while? I'm like, motherfucker. Everything has been stagnant. He's like, yeah, because what consciousness, although unconscious, have you been creating from? I'm like, stagnation, because everything outside of me is freedom. Therefore, I'm coming from a place of lack. And my opposite of freedom, my lack, is stagnation. So what was I creating? Stagnation. It slapped me in the face like a thunderbolt. And I was like, holy shit. And it was a massive change for me. And what I realized is that for a long period of time, I have been learning. I've been learning a lot of things. And I'm always learning, not necessarily growing. And I suddenly saw the difference between the two. The learning is like, if you can teach a monkey new skills, right? You can teach a 3-year-old how to do times table. Same with business, right? And Harry and I spoke on this today. Business is literally a formula. It's a mathematical formula. This plus this plus this plus this equals this. If something doesn't work, you need to tweak something in the equation somewhere. Those people who aren't in business, there's one reason. Mindset. Like, they don't have the mindset. Something is different in their head. So technically, if there's a formula for business, anybody can do it. It's literally the mindset that holds people back. It goes for every single area in life. It was just so simple and just came to me, and I felt like sharing that now. So hopefully whoever's listening, that was helpful, but certainly helpful for me. Yeah.
think that perfectly segues into or adds to, you know, the topic of this is like how you run your life like a business. It's systems, right? It's systems and formulas that, you know, obviously you can use a hell of a lot of different formulas when it comes to other aspects like relationships or health and things like that that suit your own uniqueness or whatever that might look like for some people. But if you can implement that consistently, find that system, whether it is, you know, outsourcing some stuff, so you can just be the camera guy, or you just get someone else to prep your meals, or it's you do it yourself, right? There's systems for that.
And the same, like what we're talking about, the systems and the roadmaps and the mind maps or whatever you want to call them, that you're running in your brain, in your life, unconsciously to create that life that you want. Goes back to that thing. Everybody already has everything that they want. They're just creating unconsciously. Nick's got a bomb to drop. He's about to do it. Do it, Nick.
No pressure. I actually asked this guy yesterday. I said, and this has been such an interesting question, because most of these guys are like, yes, you know, I'm striving to build my business. I'm striving to do this. You know, we want to increase, we want to scale, we want to get to like 30 locations, we want to franchise, whatever the case may be. 100%, sure. So I asked him, what is your personal number when you get to 50? Like, what's your number? He sat there and said, I've never thought about that. I said, so you're running, you're pushing, you're burning yourself out. You're doing all of these things. You're neglecting your family. You're neglecting yourself because of what? What are you going towards? What is the goal? Because there'll always be another goal after the goal, but you need to at least have a clear, defined goal for yourself, not just your business. Couldn't answer that question. And I think so many people, it's that whole cliche of, you know, are you running a business, or are you just a busy mess at the end of the day?
It's a good one.
And most of these guys just they're spinning their wheels, they're chasing their tail. And you call it accountability, you call it, I'm sacrificing this, and you'll find every masculine cliche to validate why you have to be there. And this ties, you know, into everything that you've been saying. Maybe it is your area of genius, but it also ends up becoming a form of escapism from life. Because life isn't just one-dimensional, it's multi-dimensional, it's multi-layered, there's complexities, there's nuances. And you can be an expert in one area, but you could lack the growth, the EQ, the understanding of the living part. It's really good it's easy to be a robot nowadays. Learn a skill, implement the skill, become really good at that, rinse and repeat, get paid for said skill. But everybody's formula and blueprint is slightly different because everyone is different. And I think it's helping people uncover that. And like you said, it is the mindset that holds people back. But once they start seeing like, holy shit, I have my own unique blueprint for living life. And they learn from your blueprint, because that's why they're sitting there. They're like, wow, I can see what you're doing. Harry, I can see how you look after yourself and you care for yourself and you're so consistent. I really struggle with those things in this area of my life. I need to learn from you. Same with Josh. It's like, wow, I wish I could wear Lycra like you. How do you pull it off all the time?
Let me teach you.
Let me teach you the way. Yes.
I asked Harry a really important question today, which was double-sided. It was a really big compliment because, you know, he often meets with me with his shirt off, which is lovely. And I had to ask him, I was like, dude, are you back on test? And he's like, nah, man. I'm like, dude, you are looking good. Yeah, it's a rig to be admired. So that was just a little piece that I thought was quite good for the segue there.
Can we use him as the thumbnail?
Yeah, absolutely, for the podcast. So there we go.
As long as you don't Photoshop Lycra onto me, then we can do that.
No Lycra. I promise you, no Lycra. This is a safe space for Josh.
That's good. I wanted to touch on like two kind of teaching points there, and hopefully I've lost one of them, but the other one will come back through soon. The thing, guys, there it is. It's like you've got to know what you are moving closer to. Otherwise, you're just going for more, and more is never enough. Never. That is one thing. Like, guys listening, you need to know what you are moving closer to in every area of your life. Like, what is it that you want your relationship to look like? Boom. What is it that you want your business to look like? What is your number? What is your fitness goals? All those things will allow you to move closer. And then it's what, not how. It's one of the key pieces of like magic. Like, what are you moving closer to? ignore the how for now. People get overwhelmed. Oh, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. Shiny object over here, shiny object over there. I'm like, dude, chill out. And the other thing is like, this is where mentoring, coaching, consulting is different, but mentoring, coaching, I think, are one of the most important things. Is that thing, that stagnation versus freedom. I didn't know that about me, and I consider myself a pretty aware dude. You can't see your blind spots. Don't think you're big enough to not ask somebody else to look inside your head and go, all right, dude, let me do a surgical analysis on the blueprints that you're running for life. And there's places that you'll be able to find the results of your blueprints, bank accounts, relationships, fitness. Like, if you're shit in your relationship, you'll have a shitty blueprint. If you've got 0 to nothing in your bank account and negative, you've got a shitty blueprint. You know, if you're fat, overweight, like sore knees and back all the time, you've got a shitty blueprint. You need to find the blind spots for those. So those are 2 things that I kind of wanted to bring up for guys listening. Those are really, really important. I guess we kind of know why it matters, but have you got anything that you really want to add to that, Nick?
I think at the end of the day, it comes down to looking at ourselves through a different lens, and we end up building up this perception or this perceived version of self, and that's how we interact with the world. And we come to a place where you're just at this default automated expression of Josh, of Harry, of Nick, and you've got your bubble of normal, your bubble of complacency, your bubble of reality.
Stagnation.
Yes, stagnation. And then you don't feel like you're alive because you're completely out of sync of this natural flow of life and self. You're ever changing, forever growing. And we go through different, we go through different seasons. We go through different moments. We go through all these different experiences. You cannot be the same person that started off the day when you end the day. It is impossible. There are small little things that have changed within you. And we fail to realize that. So we keep on trying to squash ourselves into a round hole when we're the square peg. And we keep on thinking we fit here, but we don't. We're growing, we're changing, we're morphing, we are expanding, but we limit ourselves through our mindset. But you're not the same guy. You're not the same guy you were 10 years ago. You're not the same guy you were a couple of months ago. You're not the same guy you were last week. That it's impossible, but we still think we're the same. And you might have the same values, but your implementation will be different. Your wisdom, your experience will be different because you've lived. So why do we then position ourselves, especially when you are in a space of authority and you are the designated leader for an organization or even just a family as a masculine? Why do we believe that that's all that we are? We're just this mantelpiece that sits on the fire and that's it. We don't change. We always steadfast. We don't, but that's important, but you do grow, you do change. Your perspective, your awareness shifts. And I think that's when you begin to challenge your mindset and you open yourself up to like, well, what is possible? What if the way that I'm looking at myself or my relationship or my business or X, Y, and Z were to not be true, were to be limiting me? What would be possible beyond this point? What am I capable of? What have I thought that I could never do, but I'm going to look at doing that shit now and expand into that? What are the expanders that I can undertake? Like you said, like what are the areas that you want to grow? Where do you want to focus? How do I expand into that? What does it require of me? What is the type of person that I need to be, embody, feel, express, the way I need to think? Who's that guy? What does he look like? How does he live? How does his life feel?
Now you're being pulled. I like that. Now you're being pulled towards something. Has you got anything to offer the boys? You have a lot to offer the boys, but on this point specifically.
I think the only thing that I'd add to that, because Nick pretty much nailed that, is if there's something in your life that you're saying, I know what I need to do. I just need to do it. There's a block in there. Because if you truly knew how to do it, you would have done it by now and would have moved on. There's a difference between knowing something theoretically and then practically through having done the thing.
Mate, drop that again, because that is such a good thing to bring the idea that somebody has a limitation to them into their consciousness. Hit that again.
If you are saying, if there's something in your life that you are saying, I know what I need to do, I just need to do it, then you don't know how to do it. There's
Fucking
a
boom.
difference between practical and theoretical knowledge, and that's the experience of doing the freaking thing.
Yeah.
If you're not doing the thing, then I would argue you don't know how to do it, which in that case, like you boys just said, find someone that can eliminate that blind spot, that belief, that blockage of whether it's skills, knowledge, discipline, accountability, whatever it is that's kind of stopping you from getting there. Fuck it off, do the thing and get the result.
Man, honestly, hey, no, man, I want to DIY. Yeah, good on you, bro. Enjoy your life with all the other common men. Hang out with them, because I ain't got time. It's like classic, eh? Oh, man, no time for DIY.
No.
Thank you guys so much for your time. Now, for the guys listening, really important thing, we are the 5th of March. So it'll be a couple of days until this drops. I believe there is 3 places left for the Bali event, 2nd of May. There is an application link down the bottom if you would like to join us. We are going to show the guys how you create more, how you work less, and how you live deeper across the 3 main elements of your life. You will walk away from that event a completely different man from the man who walked in. I promise you, your wife will thank you, your business will thank you, you'll freaking thank you. It is a game changer, and I just can't wait to see the guys that are coming in. It's going to be shit. It's a hell of an event, boys. It's going to be fire. So application is in the description down below, guys. Jump in there. Otherwise, have an absolutely uncommon week. I hope you're crushing it wherever you are. Massive love from all of us here, and we'll see you on the next one.